Hello! It's December 5th and today we are supply stacking with a giant cargo crane. It's the advent of code, it's the 5th challenge. We are programming in iNim, or let's say we are learning iNim while we are solving this coding challenge every day from the 1st of December to the 25th. So let's get to it. As previously, I'm beginning to become like quite nice or like quite good at drawing these things. So let's go through the challenge of today. So we have this stack of I don't know even what are these. Let's say the Christmas presents. These are advent of code anyways. So we have this. The first stack has n and set, then the second has dcm, and the third one has p. And somehow these got dearranged, and we have an instruction set from how to move these so that they are in the correct order, something like that. All right, so if the first one would move one, so that's like move one item from stack 2 to stack 1. So that would mean we are moving like D to the first stack. So that would look something like this. All right, and then the second instruction will be move 3 from 1 to 3. So we are moving 3 items from stack 1 to 3. And we are moving them like, you know, as you would move these like physically. So you first start with D, then N, then set. So then it will become something like this. So what do we need? So we need basically, when we program, we're gonna need a matrix. And I think we're gonna do it in such a way that it like grows dynamically. It's not gonna shrink dynamically. We're just gonna leave empty stuff there. But that's sort of what I'm thinking. We're gonna bring in some new concepts from iNim maybe to help us do this. We haven't dealt with like two-dimensional arrays or sequences in iNim before, so that's gonna be pretty interesting to see how it works. Let's start coding. Okay, so I already have the feeling that this is going to be quite a tedious task. I think the parsing is going to be quite tricky. So this time I have the test, so this one as a txt file here already, and then we have the actual input, which is quite a lot larger. All right, so I've just set up this quickly. So we have a main function and then parse container. Let's call this whole thing like that's the container, and then we're gonna parse them separately. The container first and then the instructions later. I think so, like that. So now we're parsing all of these things. And what I want to be able to do is sort of to keep the structure of this. So I'm assuming like here we have probably some like, I don't know, empty spaces or some characters here. And we want to be able to keep that structure and convert this into like a matrix. And how are we going to do a matrix in iNim? So I think we are going to go with quite a how to say, like a simple solution. I googled this quite a bit, and you can make like your own matrices. There are ND array libraries, but I want to keep sort of like, we're working with pure iNim. Let's use the basics for now. So we're gonna have a sequence within a sequence. So we're gonna call this var container, and this is gonna be just a sequence of sequences of type char. That's going to be our thing, and that's also going to be what we return. So we're going to return the container as well from this function char, and then we're going to make sort of like that the result equals container. That's what we're going to do. So here we can see, so each and every sequence, like each and every row, is exactly of same length, or yeah, same width, however you want to see it. And we have these like empty characters in between here. And then and then we have the actual characters. So we see like the actual characters are at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, at every 4 increments. So from 2, so 2, 4, 6, so on. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 8. So let's think how we would do that nicely. We have this thing called countup. It's an iterator that takes value a and b, and we can feed in the step exactly. So this is what we want. We want to go from 2 to something. I don't know, like 12, and we want to go by like 4 steps. All right. So now I have the parsing of the instructions. So we're basically doing the very same thing. We are just iterating through it. I have the Boolean checker to sort of like, so we discard the thing, which is this. What? That? Okay. No? That one? Okay. You know, the container. So we discard that thing away. And then we just split it, because now we can split it into these words. So we will have move 1 from 2 and so on. That probably didn't make any sense. But yeah, and then we can do a try except for getting like parsing the integers. If this works, then good. Then we have like an integer which we parse, and if it doesn't, then we don't care about it. So now we can iterate these instructions like as they go. And I think I'm gonna do it this way, that we have 4 in instruction, and then we can take out the individual, and then we're gonna also iterate over like the moves. So we write a function that just moves 1 item at a time, and then if we need to move several items in one instruction, then we just like loop that. So I think that will work the best way. So let's write that up. Yeah, all right. So I think I have somewhat of a solution. Yeah, so I'm iterating this and printing a lot of stuff, and then I have this classic trick of just read in, which pauses the loop, and then you can just hit enter to go to the next one. A really nice debugging trick. Okay, so we start with these stacks, and then it says like, okay, move 1 from column 1 to 0, so the middle one to the left one, and that will be moving D over here, and that seems to be working. And then move 3 from 0 to 2, so from here we should move to here, and we actually want it, yeah, so exactly, so D goes first, and then Z, yeah. So this seems to be working, and also this is what it says here. So I did this in a very hacky way of just like, yeah, first taking out which is the character that we want to move, making that spot to be an empty character, and then because of course I'm doing this like dynamically, as we'd see in this case, for example, the amount of rows has to increase because of how we move these things. So we have to check if we have to add a row, so I have this boolean for that, and make all these wacky if statements. Hopefully that's probably not the smartest way to do it, but it's a way of doing it. Another interesting nim thing that I stumbled upon is that if I don't have this var keyword here, we're getting an error saying that we cannot assign to this. So by default, sequences are passed to functions as sort of like, how would you say, like read only. I can never remember. It's like passed by assignment or reference. I think, no, this is passed by assignment, if I remember correctly. So that's quite interesting. So now, for example, here in the print cont, we are simply just echoing stuff, so we don't need that. But now it would be interesting if we would have another function that would as well mutate the container. So do we then get like a conflict, or is it like in Rust we have the really nice feature of only being able to pass, like there can only be one mutable reference at a time. How it works in nim, I'm not really sure, but this definitely goes to the reading list. Okay, so now the last thing that I had to do is to get the result. So the result is actually a string that contains the top character of all these stacks, so CMZ in this case. So that's just another loop, looping this whole thing and then just like returning it, the string that is. And now let's see. Okay, so oh yeah, this is actually what's let me see, this is the foot gun here. So this is the foot gun. So now we actually want to, yeah, so what I'm doing is that I'm reading now in the actual input and not the test, and it's wider than the, yeah, and we hard-coded that value. So let's not do this the proper way. This is a good maybe way of introducing a new tool called iNim, which is, I just learned about this. This is a, yeah, basically a repl for nim. So what we do here is we just say let path, and this is going to be the input.txt. We're gonna use that, and then we're gonna open it. No, oh man. Okay, let's just write it out. Let f.open the path like that, and now we have f, and now we can do for line in f.lines. We can do some scripting here, and now what we want to do. And this gives us 35, so now we can hard code the new value 35 in there instead. Whoa. Like that. All right, and we get something. We get this. Let's not even think about is this correct or not. Let's just submit it, and yes, it's right. This was so tedious, so I'm super happy that that went right on the first try. I have to say. All right. So now, part B. What are we doing? Now in part 2, so when we move one box, everything stays the same, but when we move several boxes, their order is not sort of like, we don't move one box at a time, we actually move all of the boxes, so their order is different than in the A section. So lucky me who created this abstraction, like this one function that moves only one box at a time and that we can reuse for the whole exercise. So I thought about like some different ways. Can we reverse this? Can we do stuff like that? But I came to the conclusion that let's just have another one. So we check that if amount is 1, we just use the same move one function. Else I have this new function called move many, and we pass it the amount. And it's more or less like surprisingly similar. So now instead of checking what is the one character that we want to move, or one box, we just check all of them for the length of the amount, and then we pass those into this temporary sequence, and then we call reverse on it because that's so the order keeps correct. And to call reverse, you have to import standard.algorithm/algorithm, otherwise you'll get an error, as I noticed here. And then we can do sort of putting them back in like in the same way as just putting one. So now we just iterate over this temporary sequence, and this should work. So this has become quite a mess, this whole file. So okay, so we have this one, mcd and setsp. It seems the correct one. Let's try it out. And now we have the real input file. This is super exciting. We're getting no errors, so that's something. And whew, that's it for today. That was a tedious one, I have to say. Almost 200 lines, a lot of if-then statements. I think this is probably the one, if I would have had more time today, I would maybe have thought this more thoroughly through in the beginning. I don't know, it just seems like a lot of this is unnecessary that I'm doing here, but hey, it is what it is, it does what it does. What did we learn about nim today? We learned about countup, that's really nice. We used iNim, the interactive repl, worked really nicely as well. We learned about this, but we don't really yet understand exactly how it works, so that's something we need to look up. Yeah, otherwise pretty standard stuff, something we've done in the previous videos as well. So yeah, I'm gonna put this away, not look at it for a while, and then again tomorrow, a new challenge, a new day. See ya!